Welcome back to the Island of Misfit Toy Collectors. Dreadnought Ryan here. It is the year 2024. It is the 60th anniversary of G.I. Joe. And that means today we're going to talk some retro cardbacks. I want to talk about where we've been, where we can go, and of course I'm going to speculate on what we could see in the future. Let me know in the comments which retro cardbacks figures you think we'll see, or which ones you really want to see. I'm looking at all of my guesses as figures that will give us the opportunity to get them out if they've already been produced, and get us a little bit closer to what we had as kids. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to get the bad out of the way for where we started with some of these retro cardback figures. So let's start with initially when we got these, the card stock was not where it needed to be. It was too thin, and that caused a lot of the shipments to get damaged, creases, different things like that. And if you're a midnight card collector, that can be quite frustrating. If you're not, it's just, if you buy a product and you get it and it's damaged, it's just disheartening, and you're disappointed that your retailer that you're purchasing these things through didn't take care of them. That brings up issue number 2. These were Walmart exclusives, and dealing with Walmart from time to time can be difficult. If you've done any type of pre-orders with them, you know that you could be looking at stuff getting canceled. If it does get shipped, again, it can be put in a padded mailer, in a baggie, in a box that's too small, or in a giant box. There was no consistency in the shipping, and that led to a lot of frustration for collectors as well too. This is my pet peeve, and I don't know if we can do anything about it because it is 2024 and not 1984. As a kid, I absolutely loved the cross-sell on the G.I. Joe Real American Hero action figures. The card art on the front was always amazing. Looking at the figure always gets your imagination going, but damn, when you flip that thing over and look at the cross-sell and seeing all of the figures that were in that particular year's wave, you would use it to check off who you had, who you wanted, who you absolutely had to figure out how to get. And then, of course, you had your cool flag points and then the file card. I remember to this day asking my mom if I could have one of her recipe boxes so that I could put all my file cards in there. It was one of the best parts about being a G.I. Joe figure collector, if you will, or just buying these toys, clipping out those file cards and having them on hand, having those dossiers that you could read through over and over again of your favorite characters, your figures, just to get a better understanding of how cool or badass these figures were. I understand that Hasbro and with the classified line, it is a line that's sold all over the world. We can look at any of our collector groups. We can look at any of our friends online. They cover from South Africa to Mexico to Canada to England to Australia to China, wherever it may be. There are G.I. Joe fans. And with this world market that you have now, there's standards that a lot of these companies have to meet, and one of which is the multilingual file cards that we get now. Also, the other issue I see is the cross-sell. I know we don't have a lot of these in retro cards, but damn, it would be cool to see all of the retro card figures being added to the backs of these retro cards. And then Hasbro, if you guys can figure out a way of, we have these little pocket computers we call cell phones. There's got to be a way that we can get an app where we could scan a QR code and that would collect that file card for us. That way we would have it at touch of a button in an app. That way we could also see which figures we had, which figures we needed, and then of course read their file cards and be big kids all over again. So let's look at the first wave of figures that we did get. Again, these were all Walmart exclusives. These were repaints of classified figures that had already been released. We'll start with Lady J. Again, the big updates were just the paint apps and the coloring for the figure. Her uniform was that green that we saw with Real American Hero. And then her weapons were geared more towards what we received back with that particular line. They did talk about adding some different makeup features and stuff like that. I know for a lot of folks, this was kind of like a figure they were going to skip over. And I do think that we still see Lady J, and of course, the next figure, the Baroness, still left on shelves all over Walmart's. I really like this Baroness. I think it was a nice update. It dulled out some parts of her figure and the uniform and outfit she had on while still adding some gloss to the others. They did talk about adding some makeup. The glasses were removable, and the weapons, of course, are what we saw with her original release from was it the Cobra Island with the motorcycle. I'll be honest, I swapped out most of her weapons with gridiron stuff just because I didn't like the Nerf look of them. Gung-Ho was the figure I think we all wanted. This was the throwback to the original Gung-Ho that we had. It had the proper campaign cover, it had the head sculpt that we were looking for, and then, of course, the weapons fit to what we got with the Real American Hero line. I think the Hasbro team did a great job utilizing parts from the classified figure while updating others, getting us the vest, the hat, the backpack, and then again, the weapons, again, updated cover and head sculpt. I do like the paint apps that were included as well as the color. The only bummer, again, I get it, it's you can't use the Marine Corps logo, but thanks to Bad Mother Custom Tattoos, that's an easy fix. Destro, this particular figure actually replaced my classified Destro on my shelf. I love the silver paint apps on this particular figure with the black and the red. I think this just called out more for what I like. So I did pick this particular figure up, and he did replace the classified figure on my shelf. I was very happy with this one. Zartan is a great repaint and coloring for the Real American Hero Sunbow series cartoon. Again, this is just a repaint of the figure that we had with the original classified, as well as the Master of Disguise deluxe pack that we had seen. A great figure to have if you like the cartoon version of Zartan, and this one was actually pretty easy to pick up as well too. The best figure so far out of the retro wave that we have in hand, it is the V1 Snake Eyes. Just a great homage to the original Snake Eyes, probably the closest thing that I've seen compared looking at the modern version, the 4-inch scale, and then, of course, into the classified scale. This figure was a little bit more difficult to get because I believe he was just more in demand. Great figure buck, accessories, posability, and then, of course, just all the little machine guns, his pistols, his silencers, I don't know, frag grenades or smoke grenades or whatever they come with. It's just a really cool figure to have. I was able to pick up a couple of them, and I did share my extra with a fellow Joe collector who was running into a hard time finding it because he was a big Snake Eyes fan as well too. Just a great figure overall. I would really like to see them bring this one back one more time just to allow other folks to pick this up if you didn't get to. Storm Shadow was a great update to that classified figure. The uniform was a brighter white. The gloves were gone from the hand, of course. Accessories and everything were pretty much the same as what we had classified. I actually got the kit from Gridiron, which gave it more of a throwback feel for the bow and the arrow and the nunchucks. So he is who sits on my shelf. I ended up putting the classified figure back in the box and put him in storage just because of how much I love this retro carded Storm Shadow. 10 out of 10 on this one. The Crimson Guard. This is another one that a lot of folks really liked. It did have a brighter red color, or crimson color, I should say, as well as having more of the silver paint apps. I know that I treat him as like an officer for my other Crimson Guard, and I believe a lot of folks did that too. We also got an update on the weapons. Just overall great troop builder, and you can still find this figure in some stores where you are able to pick them up. If you were questioning where Retro Card was going and you still weren't sure if you wanted to trust that Hasbro would get the issues fixed as far as the flimsiness of the card, the HasLab Cobra Commander Retro Card should give you faith that they figured it out. I do enjoy that we put the white border around the front of the card. It is a thicker card stock, so it does hold up well. You don't get the creases in there. I love the fact that they put the accessories up at the top, let the figure stand out on his own. And I know with this particular figure, His file card is in English, and that's just because it is a HasLab. But overall, if looking at the card stock on this for any mint on card collectors, I think this is just give us a little bit more hope that they've got this figured out. And that leads us into the figures that have been released that we've seen now, figures of, and pictures. We've seen the figure photography from the Hasbro team. Overall, I love the update to Duke. I love the update to Scarlet. They come with a ton of accessories. Scarlet has the different ponytails on the back so that you can have the backpack on or have the quiver on. Just those little type of details that make all the difference in the world. I also like the fact that we're getting the Sunbow laser rifles. I think that's just a cool addition. I think Duke looks really, really good. Rakondo just looks like a straight repaint from Tiger Force, but with the different paint apps that have been added, I love the way that figure looks as well too. But I'm starting to think that maybe Scarlet might be the real star of this particular wave. And if you look at the figures, from the figure photography, they just look amazing. I love the way that Duke looks with the helmet, with his binoculars, of course, with the grease gun. Rakondo, I think, is a home run, but I really can't wait to see what Scarlet looks like in hand. Let's talk about some of the name-only figure reveals. So we do know that we're going to get a retro-carded Beachhead, Cobra Eels, and then the Snow Serpent. For the Eels and the Snow Serpent, I think this will allow collectors to do the troop building that they wanted to, that they couldn't. The Eels was an Amazon exclusive, and I know that a lot of people using either multiple accounts or every other trick that you can, there were folks who couldn't pick up this particular figure just because it sold out so quickly. And then with the Snow Serpent, it was a deluxe figure, which that price point can kind of slow troop building. With these retro cards, I think it's going to give us all the ability to get a couple more of these figures so that we can really build out those ranks. And then I can't wait to see what they do with Beachhead. According to Lenny, they're really going to look at that Real American Hero figure and gear the paint apps and the accessories to match up to what we had in the past. So I'm really excited to see what these figures will look like in hand and what kind of additional accessories or changes that we'll see from what we've already received in the classified line. So let's talk about my predictions. And these, I really can't even really call predictions because these are the low-hanging fruit. I believe that we will get a retro-carded Televiper, a retro-carded Cobra Commander, non-Mickey Mouse ears, and then a retro-carded Snow Job. With the Televiper, updates that could be made to this particular figure, add different arms on so that you can get the unsleeved version. They did a great job with the Trouble Bubble Televiper, but again, that is a deluxe package figure with the troop builder. Having them on a retro card will allow folks who like the Televipers to really build out their squads. For the Cobra Commander, again, that HasLab Cobra Commander looks absolutely perfect to what we'd seen in the past, and getting him in a regular version is what I'm waiting for, because I do not want to open up that retro carded Mickey Mouse figure just because it looks so good. And then for Snow Job, give us a scaled down version of Snow Job without all the accessories. Maybe even get rid of the extra head. Give us a head sculpt with just the goggles on. Whatever it may be, brighter white like we've seen with Storm Shadow. But I think these are like the low-hanging fruits, something that we'll see down the road. Next up, Falcon. Look, we all know there was issues with that Falcon, and I think bringing back a retro-carded Falcon is the best way to solve those issues that we've seen, or the disappointment more so from the G.I. Joe fans. I think it's a great way of ensuring that we get a better head sculpt, as well as a callback more so to the camo apps that he came with, as well as matching up that figure to the 86 version of Falcon. Now, I love the Flint version of the classified. I know it did come with a shotgun it was a Nerf shotgun, let's just be honest. The vest with the body armor on it was cool, but I would love to see more of a throwback just of the shotgun shells, get an updated shotgun for him to carry, and then just update some of the paint apps for what we've seen. Maybe give him a little bit different of a face sculpt like they did for the updated retro carded Duke as well. Chuckles. Please give us a Chuckles on a retro card. Now, I'm not knocking what we did receive with the convention exclusive, but again, it was a convention exclusive, and I'm not sure if everybody was able to get that particular figure if they wanted him. Heck, you could even do an updated paint apps to match Chuckles up to the G.I. Joe the movie. I think people would buy it as well too, but I think it's just a great opportunity to get any of those con exclusive figures back out to collectors. I mean, you've already built the molds. Why not utilize them? That brings me up to Dr. Mindbender. We know he was convention exclusive. We know it was missing the silver cobra on the back of the cape. Perfect opportunity for Hasbro to remedy this and allow folks to get this particular figure in hand. I also picked the Range Viper just because I know he was with the Night Force line, which is the Walmart exclusive. Maybe getting something again closer to what we've seen with the Real American Hero line with the coloring, but that will get a general release away from that Night Force. And then finally, I think it's just time we get an updated Major Blood. I think the Cobra Island Major Blood was amazing, and they did a great job with it. But let's see what we can do with a retro version of Major Blood. And then finally, this is my craziest out-of-the-box thinking. Look, we know that Starduster is coming, and if a lot of you don't know, he was a mail-away figure for G.I. Joe. He was also on the G.I. Joe Action Stars cereal box, and this is where my craziness starts. Hear me out. What if you have a retro-carded Starduster, but he comes in a G.I. Joe Action Stars cereal box? Now, I said, let's get away from con exclusives or different things like that. But I think for Yo Joe June, how cool would this be for something that could be there for Joe fans to order, that you wouldn't have to increase the cost on to get to us? I mean, it's just box art. Maybe it does go to $29.99 instead of $24.99, whatever it might be. Starduster is Duke repainted retro card. We already have the jetpacks from the Steel Brigade, the weapons from Gung-Ho. So it is a repaint of figures that we already have. So it would just be really box, the materials for the packaging that you would have to worry about. But I just think it would probably look, to me, it would look really cool to see something like this, especially with this particular figure. Let me know what you guys think. Am I off the wall craziness, which probably I am, but what other figures would you love to see put in a retro card? Would you want a Serpentor in a retro card? We did get that in the modern version. What about a Zartan with a swamp skier? I think there's just a lot of opportunity out there for this particular subline through the classified series or the 1/12 scale G.I. Joe. I also want to send a big shout out to our friends over at 3D Joe's. Carson, thank you so much for keeping all of this stuff out there. That's where I pulled a lot of this art and information from. But more importantly, I want to send a big thank you out for everybody who supported the Island of Misfit Toy Collectors. We could not do this without you. Your support, your words of encouragement mean the world to me. So thank you so much. I also want to send a couple of big shout outs to Aaron from who sent me one of the coolest custom figures that I've ever seen. He sent me a Dreadnought version of a bat, and not to be outdone, he used gold flake for the faceplate, and he also on the damaged head made the eye glow in the dark. So from Payne's Toy Samples, Aaron, thank you so much for that. You have an amazing channel. You are a great friend. Thank you so much. And congratulations to you and your family on your daughter's marriage as well. And then another big shout out or congratulations I want to send out to Steve and Ken from Delta 17. I know that a lot of you have probably been seeing some of the reviews for the Delta 17 O-ring figures. I know that it's been a long road for the both of you. to bring this to a product to market. I don't think that people truly understand um, how amazing Steve's designs are and how meticulous and just the attention to detail that Steve put into these figures about how he wanted them to look, how he wanted them to behave, the details and the accessories and what you can do with the backpacks and the weapons, and just the looks of the figures, the paint apps, the coloring. It's just, the man is a crazy genius. And I think once you get these figures in hand, you will truly appreciate all the hard work that he had put in. And Ken, for all of the story that you told for them, the file cards, all of the different things that you've done behind the scenes, working with Steve to bring these figures to market, just seeing some of the reviews that folks have been doing, all your hard work should be rewarded. So everybody be on the lookout. If you collect O-rings for Delta 17, these were not a crowd-funded action figure line. Steve and the Delta 17 company put all this together. So we will have product very soon that you'll be able to order. And I think once you see all of the figures that they put out there, you will be blown away at the detail. If you are a Joe O-ring figure fan, these figures will add to the lore. It gives you another version of a new story to tell, until you wait for, call sign Longbow, and then of course Carson's line as well too. So big huge shout out to all of those folks. And again, Aaron, thank you so much for that figure. It's absolutely beautiful. That is all. Thank you all so much for everything that you've done for the Island Misfit Toy Collectors. And again, I want to hear what figures you want to see for this retro carded collection. And we'll talk to you all soon.